Hey everybody, Damon here. I am your membership outreach coordinator and the lead advocate at the CNCSU, and we are going to be going over a few things. Two things that we're going to be doing today is going to be talking about exam timelines as well as grade appeals and the procedures that follow them. Now, these are two very important topics, especially at the end of the semester for you to consider, because it is important for you to not only study as well as do your job as a student, but it's also important for you to know your rights so that you can advocate for yourself. First thing that we're going to be doing, though, is going to be exams. We're going to talk about exams. And now, obviously, the first point that I really want to drive home is do not cheat. Do not attempt to cheat. There are invigilators who are going to be looking over the exams, and they have the right to kick you out if they have any suspicion of you cheating during the exams. So it's very important that you also look don't accidentally make any mistakes that may make it look like looking at previous notes if it's an open book test, having things that may accidentally be in your pencil bags or what have you, whatever you bring. Just make sure that there's no possibility of you being removed from the exam for potential cheating. That's going to be always step number one. But I also get a lot of questions revolving around like what students' rights are in terms of exams. And I do have a few things that we can talk about, particularly what happens if you are in a situation where your exams are all on one day, or what happens if you have only a 30-minute gap between exams. Now, the interesting part is that you actually have the opportunity to reschedule as a student your final exams if you're falling under certain categories, which are 2 or more exams at the same time. That's an obvious one. More than 3 examinations in one day, less than 30 minutes between examinations, or more than 6 hours total of examinations in one day. Now, the process that you need to do if you are a student in that circumstance is to go and talk to your instructor. Talk to the instructors. They will have the ability to give you an opportunity later on, usually through the Testing and Tutoring Center, the Academic Success Center, and the Learning Commons. But it is up to you to inform them. It's not always going to be the case where the college will recognize that you are one of these students, so it's also important for you to take the initiative to send your instructor notice. Now, if you're seeing this during exam season, then usually, as per policy, it's too late. A lot of the time, you would need at least a week's notice in order to do this, but if you are seeing it, it's still worth a try. Talk to your instructor, see if there's anything you can do. You can find this in the exam policies that you can find on the CNC website or on our website in cncsu.ca/advocacy. Some more things to consider when it comes to exams is rewrites. Rewrites are a very interesting advocacy conversation because not everybody who finishes an exam is unsatisfied with their grade gets the opportunity to rewrite their exam. It's actually very specific. If you are unsatisfied in your exam, you can ask for a reattempt if you have done any of these 3 things. Well, actually, you have to do them all together. You have to first make an attempt on the exam. If you miss the exam, that's not a good enough excuse for a rewrite. The examination itself is worth more than 40% of the overall grade, so obviously this exam must be of great importance. And if you received a passing average in all other coursework, so if you're already hovering around 60 or 70 and then you bomb the final exam, that's not a good enough reason to do the test. You have to meet all 3 of these things, 5.1, 0.1, 0.2, 0.3 altogether. And you also only are allowed 1 rewrite of the exam per course, and a maximum of 3 rewrites per academic year is permitted. So you got to be also selective with what you ask for. Now, all of this is to say, if you are still unsatisfied with your grade, there is something called grade appeals. Now, grade appeals are always a very interesting topic in our office as well because there is certain criteria. So I guess an unofficial tip is focus on your studies. Do not put yourself in a position where you are going to have to do a grade appeal likely if you fail the exam. No, you should always be shooting for as high a grade as possible. I always say go for A's. Anything C and above will usually be fine depending on the program. But just being unhappy with your grade, just being unhappy with failing is not a good enough reason for us to be able to do the grade appeal. It actually will likely be rejected. And so it's important for you, if you're going to consider doing a grade appeal, that you find that your argument is within one of these 4 criterias that are laid out on the screen right now. And I'll just go through them real quick and just tell you what they mean. So the grounds for appeal are limited to the course objectives have not been adhered to or is not provided. So this basically covers the situation on if you are having a course outline and the overall grade was impacted by the changing of that outline. Let's say an instructor changes the percentages or changes the dates to an extreme degree, and you are no longer set up for success. That's where you would fall under A. It also covers what happens if you were completely unaware due to the fault of not receiving any of course outlines or any documents and the such. B, the evaluation criteria has not been applied according to the grading and evaluation of student performance policy, which essentially means is that the instructors have a certain criteria that they must follow in terms of grading and evaluation per course. And if they're not necessarily following that, you can find that policy on our website as well. You can also have an appeal. C is what I find to be the most common reason, but also the most broad, which makes it a little bit harder to advocate for, but it definitely is still possible. The evaluation criteria has not been applied in a reasonable, fair, and just manner. So this can come up if you're concerned that you were not given the fair chance to succeed, whether it be your relationship with the instructor led to some conversations that may have impacted your grade, whether it be you were not given a fair chance to perform in class or in your clinical setting due to reasons beyond you. So anything that can fall under like, hey, I didn't have a chance because of this, would fall under C. And this is something that we see more commonly when it comes to grade appeals. The issue is with that one is that you have to have your evidence. You have to have your reasons. You can't go into a meeting with the dean or the instructor and just say, based off the vibes, I'm unhappy. And the vibes were that I was given an unfair chance. That's not a good way to advocate for yourself. And we could talk more about that later too, on how you can set yourself up to succeed in that case. But it is important for you to know that not everything that happens to you is unfair in terms of this policy. Sometimes you were given the opportunity and you may have just missed that. But if you are feeling that way, you fall under category C. And then D, the second most common one, is a procedural error was made or a grade calculation was done in error. Instructor that lost their assignments, they didn't calculate things correctly. This happens. Instructors are human. There is human error that could happen in the classroom. And in those circumstances, a lot of the time you could probably just talk to your instructor. But if that's not working, you can also use the grade appeal policy to challenge that as well. Usually it'll happen if there's a whole bunch of assignments graded at once and one is weighed differently than what it's supposed to be, or maybe there was part of your assignment that you handed in that wasn't graded properly. It's going to be more circumstances like that. Now, here's what you do if your grade appeal falls in to what I was just talking about, or if you have questions that maybe your situation falls within the grade appeal guidelines. You can contact us. We do have a team of advocates. It's not just myself that you can come to. And you can have us as a support person to attend the meetings with you, as well as to help you build your case, help you prepare for these conversations that you're going to be having, because it's a very, very challenging thing for a student to do. The power dynamic is there. Students don't always feel confident. And that's why you come to us, so we can help inform you of what you're able to do, how to phrase things, how to get your point across. Like, we can help you build that case. If you're choosing to go individually, which I don't recommend personally, but you still have the freedoms to do, you can also get the grade appeal forms and all this information from our website at cncsu.ca/advocacy. To start the grade appeal process, you must email the instructor stating that you're beginning that process with the grade appeal form attached, filled out to a certain point, but leaving the instructor parts blank. The biggest thing also that I find is that people try to start grade appeals too late. So when you get your grade, the day that you check Moodle, the day that you check CNC Connect to see your grade, you will have 10 days after the first day that that's available to you to actually do a grade appeal. And this is for most classes. If you're in nursing or in any other program that has a shop or lab component, you will have 5 days instead to challenge the removal from a clinical or a lab setting that may impact your overall grade. So just keep those dates in mind, because if you miss those dates, that automatically gives the college the ability to reject that claim. So it's very, very important that if you know that you are going to need a grade appeal, that you start as soon as you can. And the only time that you can start a grade appeal is after you receive the final grade for that course. All of this is to say is that our job is to inform you on what your rights are. And there's a lot of rights that students have that they don't know about. And the biggest thing that we can have as a strength for our ability to advocate is knowledge, is learning from each other. So if you have any questions or any concerns, please, it is our job to help you with it. Send us an email and tell us your concern, and we can see what we can do. Are we able to help everybody? Unfortunately not. We won't be able to help with certain situations such as if you plagiarized or if you used AI. Very sparingly will we be able to allocate resources to that, especially during busy seasons. But if you do have one of those problems and you do have a credible reason as to why you're challenging it, come forward as well. Our job is not to be the police on who is doing well and who's doing not. Our job is to inform you on what your rights are. So even if you come to me and say, Damon, I have cheated, what are my rights? I will still be able to inform you on what you can do. There is no shame to coming to the Students' Union for advice. So, if you have any questions, you can obviously contact us as a group at advocacy@cncsu.ca. You can contact me individually as the advocacy person by emailing outreach@cncsu.ca. And I really encourage you to visit our advocacy page at cncsu.ca/advocacy, as there's a lot of good frequently asked questions in there, a lot of processes that you can look at, and just give you some more perspective on what you can do to advocate for yourself. All in all, I wish you the best. Be kind to each other. And I look forward to talking to you if you need help. Bye for now.